Week 5 is about to get underway. It is a gorgeous morning here on this Thursday that we are going to start a brand new episode of Snap the Pigskin. I'm Noah Clark. Thank you for joining us today. We got a lot of great stuff to go over. We talk about the Eagles beating the Bucks, going to 4-0. Can the Philadelphia Eagles be stopped? It looks like they're going on another run. The Chiefs beating the Ravens. Baltimore kind of in trouble here with a potential injury update to Lamar Jackson. The Browns making a quarterback change with Dylan Gabriel starting week 5 in London. And the Packers and Cowboys having a Sunday night shootout down in Dallas. We also will give you Bringing Home the Bacon and our Pigskin Primetime Picks. So let's get right into it today. Let's start with our drive of the week. First down, let's start with the Eagles beating the Bucks, improving to 4-0 on the season. Eagles have not lost a game yet this year, and they look like they could continue to not lose many games the rest of this season as they beat the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Tampa Bay also another team. This is a playoff team as well. Very close game. Very close game. Tampa Bay made kind of a furious comeback late in the game against the Eagles. It ended up with the Eagles still winning this game, and the Eagles remain undefeated. And I will just say this about the Philadelphia Eagles, and the real question of, is this team really good? Is this team looking like a Super Bowl contender? They look like a Super Bowl contender once again, and they look like they're going to defend for their title once again. You look at how Baker Mayfield and the Bucs though played. They played pretty well. I mean, keep in mind too, they got rid. Their OC last year, Liam Cohen, went to the Jaguars, and everybody thought that this would be a different change, that we were not going to see the same Bucs team that we saw from a year ago. That is still not the case. Tampa Bay still is playing well, and Baker Mayfield also too is playing pretty well. With the Bucs, I think too, this is going to be a game that if you guys were watching, don't be surprised if we see these two teams again meet in January. I mean, it's very likely that these two teams meet in January. I mean, they met before in the postseason, and it ended with the Bucs beating the Eagles and the Bucs going to the next round back in 2023. So we've seen it happen. We've seen it happen before where these two teams have met in the playoffs. So now it does bring to my question, though, of is this Bucs team really good? They kind of played behind the whole game. They played down. They played really, they didn't play really well. And it ended up being kind of the downfall for them because then they had to kind of claw their way back into this game and kind of come back. And it ended up with a fake special teams touchdown and a fake tush push as well to get the Bucs, or to get the Eagles the win. Todd Bowles has probably got to be kicking himself for the way that this game ended, for the way the game started and the way that the game ended. I definitely think you look at it when these two teams potentially meet in January again, if that is possible, don't be surprised. Don't be surprised if Todd Bowles remembers that mental note. For the Eagles, I mean, circling back to the Eagles, Philadelphia looks good. They look good. They look scary. And we'll talk about the team that I think could be one of the favorites to win the NFC, could compete with the Eagles here, that I think may have taken a step back. But I also think, too, with this Eagles team, there really isn't much for flaws. They run the ball really well with Saquon Barkley. Their defense really plays well up to the level that it should be. Their wide receiving core, incredible. Saquon Barkley, incredible. Jalen Hurts does what he needs to do to get the job done for the Eagles. So I do have that question of, this is, the second week in a row now where the Eagles have beaten two playoff teams. I mean, they beat the Rams and they beat the Bucs. They beat two playoff teams already. Does this already showcase how tough it's going to be to beat the Eagles? because Philadelphia, like, they came out against the Rams. They were down most of that game against the Rams, and they came back and won it. Then here's the opposite thing about it. They they were up against the Bucs, and Tampa Bay found a way to kind of make the game close. So but yet still Philadelphia got the win. So I do have that question of, well, is this Eagles team really good? Because on 1 week, you do have the Eagles winning against the Rams, and in comeback fashion, might I add. But on the other hand, you do have the Eagles almost blowing a game to the Bucs to have their first loss of the season. I know the NFL is a week-to-week basis, but the Eagles every week have made these games look really easy for them. And we're in week 5. I know we're not even at the halfway mark yet, but this is just something to monitor with the Philadelphia Eagles. So Philadelphia 4-0. I believe they have a bye this week. Let me just pull up on the schedule here. No, they do not have a bye this week, but who do they play? They play the Broncos. They play at home against the Broncos, and the Broncos lost on Monday Night Football won on Monday Night Football to the Bengals to go to 2-2 on the year with Sean Payton. So that'll be an interesting game in itself. That's a high noon game. That is right at noon o'clock. So moving on to second down, another game that happened, another game that is very interesting that does have a lot of implications moving forward for both teams respectively. The Chiefs and the Ravens, Baltimore losing to the Kansas City Chiefs to go to 1-3 on the season. We talked about last week, 15% of teams that start 1-3 make the postseason. Since the playoff format changed from 12 to 14, that has ultimately changed. Still, that's gone up a little bit. The playoff percentage for teams when they start 1-3 has gone up a little bit. The last team to do it was the Rams last year in 2024. So the Ravens still have a chance, but this game kind of ended with the Ravens losing to the Chiefs. I mean, it wasn't even close, and for good reason. I mean, Lamar Jackson didn't finish this game for Baltimore. He suffered a hamstring injury, and the injury woes continue for the Ravens. They just earlier this past week, Nnamdi Madubuike is out for the rest of the season, is not going to be able to play the rest of the season for Baltimore. He's put on season-ending IR, which is a big blow to that Ravens front four. He is a very good run stopper. So now they're going to have to figure out who they're going to replace with him. Lamar Jackson now, on top of that as well, has a hamstring injury. And the Ravens said, John Harbaugh said he could be out for 2 to 3 weeks, which is bad in itself. But looking at more of this game, Baltimore just didn't look good. I mean, they didn't look good in this game. Kansas City kind of really owned them. I think the bright spot too with Kansas City, they got Xavier Worthy back, which was a big boost for this team and their deep passing game. I mean, they need Xavier Worthy, to go out there and be able to be that deep threat that they need. And just a guy who can help pick up the sticks and be a guy that Mahomes can trust. They don't have Rashee Rice right now, so they need somebody to kind of step up and take the load off there for Rashee Rice, and that has got to be Xavier Worthy. Now, they've had guys like Hollywood Brown, Tyquan Thornton has stepped up into that role, Noah Gray, somewhat of Travis Kelce. You also look at the running game for Kansas City with Kareem Hunt and Isaiah Pacheco. I think they're slowly starting to get going in that ground game. I think they need to pick it up a bit. I know that, they aren't really a team that focuses on the run, but when you have Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs are struggling to kind of get their pass game going the last 2-3 weeks, it might be a good idea to establish the run. However, they did come away with this game as the winners. They go to 2-2. They get their second win on the season. They are now at a 2-game win streak for Kansas City. So congrats to the Chiefs. For Kansas City, man, this is all they need. This is all they need. They needed a little bit of a kick in the pants. They needed a little bit of that, They needed that one win against the Giants to get their season started. And now here we go. We're off and running with Kansas City. Their schedule, though, I will say, does get a bit easier, does get a bit harder at some points. They have Jacksonville on Monday Night Football. Jacksonville just came off a win in San Francisco with a win over the Niners. But, excuse me. But you look after Jacksonville, they also have the Detroit Lions. And Detroit has been whipping up on everybody the last couple weeks. They just beat the Browns. They just beat the Bears. They are playing really mad. And this is a Dan Campbell team that will not let up, will not rest. And that's in 2 weeks. That's in 2 weeks. Oh, sorry, too. And the Ravens. I also forgot to mention the Ravens also on that list as well. But Kansas City, this is the kind of thing that gets Kansas City going. This is the kind of thing that gets the Chiefs kind of rolling a bit. You look at it as well for Kansas City. I believe Rashee Rice still has like 2 more games left, so he's gonna miss. He's gonna miss that Detroit Lions game, I believe. I think it's a 6-game suspension. He's gonna miss the Lions game, but he will be back for the Raiders game. I do think that this Chiefs team, if they figured themselves out, man, this is a scary group. This is a scary, scary group. They, in the Giants game, kind of figured themselves out in the second half. In this game against the Ravens, their offense kind of figured themselves out. And overall, Kansas City, is kind of also, too, playing catch-up. I mean, you look at the Bills. The Bills are well out in front. The Chargers out in front here. I mean, they, however, suffered a loss to the Giants, to Jackson Dart, making his first rookie start. So that division still is not dead, but the Chiefs are a game behind the Chargers. I do think that this is the kick in the pants the Chiefs needed. That's all I'm going to say on that. I think that if they beat Jacksonville and they go to 3-2, Chargers better watch their back. They better watch their back. They better keep their head on the swivel because here come the Chiefs once again for that division. Now, for Baltimore in this game and in this loss, this one was a tough loss for the Ravens in what has already been a tough season for Baltimore to start, going to 1-3. I mean, now you look at the Ravens, they've had just the injury bug the last several weeks here. It's not looked particularly good. They haven't been able to really stay healthy. And good teams can stay healthy. Great teams always stay healthy. And it has not looked good for Baltimore. They, had, obviously I talked about this earlier. Nnamdi Madubuike put on IR for the rest of the season. He is done for the year, which is a big blow to that defensive front, especially too, you look at how good that defensive front plays when he's in there. So that's brutal. You also look to Zay Flowers has been banged up in and out of the lineup. And now the injury to Lamar Jackson. And this is a huge one because Lamar Jackson has been really on a tear the last couple seasons. He's found ways to stay healthy. But now he has a hamstring injury. And this is tough for Baltimore because with Lamar, they still find ways to make the postseason. Or without Lamar, they still find ways to make the postseason. But with Lamar, they're just a better team. They're just a completely different team when he's in there. He adds a whole nother dimension to that group, to that offense that the Ravens just don't have when he's not in there. Now, they do get Cooper Rush. If you're a Cowboys fan listening on this show, in past years what Cooper Rush has done for the Cowboys. I mean, he's kind of got Dallas in a good spot in some instances to where all of a sudden, holy crap, they're still in playoff contention for when Dak Prescott comes back. So I look at this for Baltimore. I don't think they're out of it yet, but the injuries right now, too, are also piling up, and it's at some point going to be one major injury that kind of derails this whole season. Thankfully, there is good news, Ravens fans. I mean, Lamar's injury isn't season-ending. It's just a hamstring injury. He could be out 2 to 3 weeks. But you also know, too, with hamstring injuries, they're very tricky to determine. Depending on how bad of a hamstring injury it is, it could be 2 to 3 weeks, or it could be like 5 to 8. Hamstring injuries vary because it depends on how much usage you're going to use with your legs, how much you're going to put it through that, the strain and the stress of it. And given Lamar playing at the quarterback position and a guy who likes to run, he does tend to use his body a lot, and for a lot of reasons that require your hamstrings to be battle tested and battle ready. So it's a 2 to 3 week injury. Don't be surprised, Ravens fans, if he's not ready to go in those 2 to 3 weeks and you see a little bit more Cooper Rush. I mean, this is also too why they signed Cooper Rush. They signed probably one of the best backup quarterbacks in the free agent market a couple years ago, and now they have him on their roster, and he's probably going to help Baltimore in a big way. I mean, he does give that rushing element a little bit, but he doesn't give all of that rushing element that Lamar has. He has the arm. We've seen him. We know he has the arm. Decision-making is there. I think Baltimore is going to be fine. They have to figure out, though. How to get, a win. They have to just get another win here. You're sitting at 1-3. The road looks a lot easier, though, because you look at Baltimore's next 4 games. Their next 4 games, I think, could be pretty telling of how the rest of this season is going to fare. And they're relatively easy. You got Houston, LA, and Chicago. The bright side about those 3 games for the Ravens is those 3 games are at home. They have 3 straight home games against 2 teams right now, 2 of them of which their offenses have been struggling to find anything, one of which is a playoff team. And if they can figure out how to beat the Rams and pull off an upset there with Cooper Rush, I think that's huge. So you have those 3, but then you look at after the 3-game home stint, you have the Dolphins at Miami. I think that, that could be that's maybe the target date for when Lamar comes back. If not, then maybe you see Cooper Rush again. And I do think Cooper Rush, I think he gets this team to 4 wins potentially. It just depends on 2, maybe 3. That Rams game, I think, could be very tricky. Cooper Rush could struggle in that game, and the Rams could pull away. So I don't think this Ravens team is done yet, but I also do think like the injuries are starting to pile up, and they need to get a win, and a win badly, to try and get this team's confidence back up in the biggest of ways. Badly. So Ravens have the Texans coming up. That's at home against CJ Stroud. I think Cooper Rush, he needs to have a good game. The Texans offense has not played well. So this is a very winnable game for them. The defense for Baltimore has played well in some instances. Losing Matabike, though, is going to be tough. That run game has been really kind of rough the last couple weeks. They haven't really stepped up and stopped teams. So they're going to have to find a way to stop teams with Matabike out. Third down. Now let's segue into third down. And third down is very interesting. We have another quarterback change. The Cleveland Browns making the next quarterback change, and another rookie gets the start. Dylan Gabriel will start in week 5 for the Cleveland Browns. Joe Flacco had been starting the last 4 weeks, but Joe Flacco only had 1 win against the Green Bay Packers. Since then, though, he has not won a game yet. Also, too, looking at the numbers for Joe Flacco, and I'm going to pull this up, he only has 2 touchdown passes to start the year, and I originally thought that he had none, but he has 2 touchdown passes to start the year. That is tied for 33rd in the league. He also has a QB rating of 27.0, which is last among starting quarterbacks in the NFL. So they made the change to Dillon Gabriel, and it couldn't have come at a worse time because now he's playing the Minnesota Vikings, and they're having to travel across the pond to go play the Minnesota Vikings, who already are already there because they already had a game last week against the Steelers in Ireland. So they are already accustomed. So this is going to be very, very fascinating. There's a lot of storylines going into this game. It's very fascinating. The Vikings coming off a loss to Aaron Rodgers and the Steelers. Can they bounce back? Will J.J. McCarthy get off the sprained ankle schneid and come back out and play? Or are the Vikings just waiting it out with Carson Wentz to see if he can go out and play well? On the Browns side, is Dillon Gabriel going to come out and play well? You know, what's this Browns offense going to look like with Dillon Gabriel? You know, what will we see some improvement? Will we see more scoring from this team? You know, will he get the win? You know, how will he fare against this Vikings defense? There's a lot of storylines going into this game. There's a lot of storylines that go into this game. The biggest one being this is Dillon Gabriel's first start, and it's his first start. He's got to go up against the Vikings and that Brian Flores defense. The one thing I will say about Dillon Gabriel, I did like him a lot. I did like him a lot coming out of college, coming out of the University of Oregon. I liked him a lot. Most accurate quarterback in college football history. His completion percentage was off the charts. He was so accurate in college football. Won a Big Ten championship his last year at Oregon. In the first year when Oregon, switched from the Pac-12 to the Big Ten. You also look to, they made the college football playoff where they absolutely got smacked by Ohio State. But other than that, this is his chance to prove that he can be a starting quarterback in this league. And the Browns, you look at the Browns. The Browns have had no history of having starting quarterbacks that have been successful. They had one in Baker Mayfield that they decided to trade away. So they're still looking for that quarterback. What I did find interesting with Dillon Gabriel, and I looked this up over, the last couple of days, is Shedeur Sanders. Obviously, that's another big headline as well. The biggest one being Dillon Gabriel's getting his first start. Yeah. But the other big one is Shedeur Sanders and what he had to say on it. Shedeur Sanders was not, it didn't, if you watch the videos, he's mouthing something that says he, clearly is frustrated. It's cryptic. If you guys are mouth readers or lip readers, you can read lips. Please tell me what he said. It's obvious though. It's clear and obvious that he's frustrated with the situation, and he got drafted by the Cleveland Browns too. Which, again, I even said this with Cleveland again. Cleveland drafted Dillon Gabriel day 2, which means he does have, he's a day 2 value pick. You probably will have to start him at some point, or he could be a good trade asset. Now he's getting his chance. He's getting his chance to play. But you look at it, 2 rounds later, they draft, they get Dillon Gabriel, and 2 rounds later they draft Shedeur Sanders, which still baffles me. Why? We had this whole, me and Kedrick had this whole conversation about it at the beginning of the year, how wacko the Browns quarterback situation is. And it just keeps getting weirder and weirder. And with Shedeur, obviously Shedeur is going to say the right things, he did a good job. He's definitely a guy that, I could ride with, blah, 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 blah. But also when he mouthed something, he didn't say anything. it does tell you a lot about why teams passed on him. And it does tell you a lot of why teams passed on him and why he's in the situation that he is. Maturity. You look at Colorado. He didn't have the maturity level at Colorado when he was there. That could be the influence of his dad. That could be the influence of his dad, who is the head coach of that team. It could also be, too, he's young. He's young. He's in his early 20s. So he still has a lot to learn in the NFL. I mean, the NFL is a grown man league. You have to conduct yourself as a grown man to be able to, stay in this league. And it just even more confirms to me that the fit in Cleveland is not going to work. And we haven't even seen him play yet. Now, I'm not trying to be like, well, he hasn't played a game yet. He hasn't played an NFL regular season game yet. How can you say that? Look at what he's done. Look at how the situation has been from the time that draft day, that the whole draft process started up to now. Clearly, like, he didn't do any favors for himself to get himself drafted in the right position. I mean, you look at the whole thing. Multiple teams were calling about him. The Eagles, the Ravens, they were calling about him, wanting to see if they were interested in drafting him. And he said no. So now you end up in Cleveland. Well, now Cleveland already has a starting quarterback in Dylan Gabriel and Joe Flacco. And at the time they had Kenny Pickett. And you're frustrated by that. And you happen to have the displeasure when, mind you, 2 other teams were willing to take you. And I bet you, too, that if he were to be drafted by the Ravens, he probably would have had a chance to start. He probably would have had a chance to start in Baltimore. He probably wouldn't have had a chance to start in Philly, but in Baltimore still, too. With Lamar being hurt, this is an opportunity for him to showcase what he could do. Now here he is sitting in Cleveland, pouting and moaning and complaining that, not outright, but pouting and complaining that he's not the starting quarterback. And it's just like, what are we doing? What are we doing here? So I just, I just don't know. I don't know. I don't know what he's going to do. He needs to figure himself out. He needs to figure life out, I think, also, too, because this is clearly a kid who is just lost in the fact that, you can't always get what you want. You can't always get what you want. Yeah, you may have a dad who has had who is very famous and had a lot of history of being a great. I mean, he's a Hall of Famer. Deion Sanders is a Hall of Famer, but you have to carry yourself a certain way and a certain standard in the NFL. And if you don't, you're going to be run out of the league quickly. I mean, and especially if you're in the Cleveland Browns. I mean, Cleveland, they've been searching, pinting for a starting quarterback to come there and lift this franchise up. And they had it. They had it with Baker Mayfield, and they let Baker Mayfield go. Not his fault at all. So, and you look at an example of this too, of maturity levels. Look at Johnny Manziel. Look at his maturity levels. 0 hours of film. Partying. Okay, he was partying. 0 hours of film in his time in Cleveland. Didn't want to be in Cleveland. Remember, got kicked out of Manning Passing Academy. There's just so many things that could spiral this out of control for him, for Shedeur. And I think he just needs to own up, accept the fact that, look, they want to roll with this guy. Okay, I'm going to work hard. I'm going to try and be the best quarterback I can be for the franchise moving forward. And maybe Dylan Gabriel sucks. Or, maybe he sucks. Maybe Dylan Gabriel, doesn't play well. And he gets his opportunity. Maybe that's what happens, but we'll find out on Sunday. We will find out on Sunday. That's another like early game. My goodness. And the NFL too is also wanting to put in these international games as well every single week or every single season. And it's like, I think as an NFL fan, you can tell like at some point we're going to get exhausted from watching too much football, which is wild to think about. I'm not exhausted from it. I just don't like that it's an 8:30 start time. But then again, fast forward to like in the spring when rugby season is going on. I'm a big rugby watcher. So I'll get up and probably watch the Six Nations, and that starts at like 9:30, 9:30, 10 o'clock, and that's just the old person in me as well. Fourth down, we get to this last one here on our show before we get into bringing home the bacon. And this one was, every week, I feel like every week we have an exciting like game that is just like a headline for the entire week. And this week it was the Packers and Cowboys game in Dallas. And I said last week, this is like a rivalry. This is a legit rivalry. These two teams meet. I mean, yeah, you could say Green Bay has won the last 9, 8 or so that the Packers and Cowboys have met. Dallas's last win against Green Bay came in 2016, and they'll have to wait a little bit longer. This game ended. It actually was incredible. I mean, I was frustrated by it because the defense for Green Bay didn't really go out there and play well. But on the other side of it, the offense bounced back from a struggling game in week 3 against Cleveland and played really well here, especially in the second half. Jordan Love and Dak Prescott, they were both relatively on fire in this game. Both teams really could not stop each other in this game between Dallas and Green Bay. Both teams just played well right up to the finish. And it ended with a tie on Sunday Night Football. It ended up, I mean, the wildness of this game too was crazy. So it ended up with a tie, but it also ended up with multiple lead changes going into the fourth. It ended up with 3 lead changes in the fourth. I have to adjust this blanket here. It ended up with the Packers getting the ball with like 2 minutes left, going down and scoring with like a minute 30, minute 20 left to go in the game. The Cowboys went right on down, and it was off of a phantom intentional grounding call, might I add, by the way, that kept the Cowboys drive alive. A George Pickens touchdown with 43 seconds left. Then Green Bay got the ball with a little bit of time left to go. They drive down. They get in field goal range. Brandon McManus kicks the game-tying field goal to send it to overtime. Dallas is driving, and in overtime, Dak Prescott throws one of the wildest lob throws ever. Like, this was a fadeaway throw. He's getting sacked. Lucas Van Ness and Micah Parsons have him right dead to rights. Throws a fadeaway shot to Jalen Tolbert, catches it at the 5. I'm thinking, okay, Cowboys going to go up by 6. Micah Parsons, with the play of the game probably, gets a sack on Dak Prescott, which then forces the Cowboys to kick a field goal to take the lead, to which then Green Bay drives down and kicks a field goal to tie the game and end the game. I mean, Green Bay was driving. They were going to win that game. But that game ended with a loss. And the Packers in this game, too, like, they fell behind 3 different times in the fourth quarter and overtime and responded every single time. Same thing with the Cowboys. I mean, they fell, like, every time Green Bay scored, Dallas scored. So this was relatively exciting football. It ends in a tie. but it does end in a little bit of history. This was the second highest scoring game in NFL history, or more importantly, to be more specific, the second highest scoring tie in NFL history. Since the overtime period was added to the regular season, and here's our stat, one of our big stats for today. Since the overtime period was added in 1974, this is the highest scoring tie in NFL history on Sunday night with 80 points scored. Both teams combined for a total of 80 points. And on top of that, if you're a big scoregami person, this was a scoregami. So fantastic stuff there. But there's so many question marks. There's so many big things in this game that I have to that are to break down. One of the big things was, I hope people really can shut up about the Jordan Love is bad conversation, because he did not look bad in this game. I mean, he was incredible. And the same thing with Dak Prescott. And Dak Prescott, we know Dak's good. I mean, every time that they've played the Packers or any team, I mean, Dak is a quintessential pro quarterback. And I will admit, this year, looking at the Cowboys, they could potentially be this year's Vikings. A team that everybody had projected to be bad at the beginning of the year because of what all, transpired at the beginning of the season and the off season, where they don't really have any good talent. Everybody's gone, and somehow they still make the playoffs. I see that with this Dallas team. I know Dallas's record doesn't say, doesn't speak well, because you look at Dallas's record, they are 1-2-1, but they play pretty well. I mean, their offense is really, really good. And when healthy, when CeeDee Lamb comes back, they're going to be really good on the offensive side. Now, on the defensive side, their defense is so bad. Their defense is so bad. This game was the definition of no offense. And you look at the Cowboys, they are dead last in the NFL in DVOA. They are 32nd in DVOA. They are dead last in EPA per play. They're in the bottom 30. They're in the bottom of the league in a lot of defensive statistics, which is not very good. And yeah, I've seen it from Dak a lot, where his defense doesn't give him a lot of help. His team falls behind. He has to go and kind of win them the game. That's why Dak's stats are so huge and they're so padded, because he has to play from behind most of the time. But I look at this Cowboys offense. I think if they can figure themselves out, if they can figure out how, if their defense can stop a sentence, if their defense can stop teams, because they can't stop a sentence with a period. I think they'll be a good team to watch. I think the Commanders right now, I don't think they're really, threatening the Eagles. I think, too, you look at the Cowboys in terms of offense, I think Dallas's offense is what could compete with the Eagles. Now, you even look at it, too. In week 1, the Cowboys went toe-to-toe with the Eagles, and they were hanging around in that game in week 1. So don't be surprised if the Cowboys find a way to make some noise late in the season. Their offense is really good. Their offense is really, really good. And I am very wrong, and I will eat my words on that, because Brian Schottenheimer has got this team really on a roll here. And it could be like another whole Jason Garrett situation where, they hire an offensive guy in Jason Garrett, and that offense just every year after year after year after year just has one of the best offenses in the league. So, but back to the Green Bay side, and I'll even say this too. I'll even talk about this too. After watching this game, like I said it before, and I'll say it again, I really hope people can shut up about the Jordan Love is bad conversation. He's not bad. If you were watching this game, as I was, and you were seeing some of the stuff that he's done, and you look at the stats through the first 4 games of the season, you would, and you tell me he's bad, like, shut up, get out of my face. You don't know ball. You don't know ball. It's okay. Because the numbers that he's put up the first 4 weeks of the season have been outright insane. You look at it, and this is also too with an offensive line. I gotta put my glasses on so I can read this to you guys for Jordan Love. I mean, even too, like, his O-line is bad, but his O-line, like, even with his O-line being bad, he is still really incredible. And just looking at it from a clean pocket, Jacob Morley posted this on Twitter. From a clean pocket, Jordan Love, his completion percentage is 87.2. That is first in the league. His adjusted completion percentage is 89.6. That's first. His ADOT is 7.8. His average depth of throw is 7.8. So he's throwing at least 8 yards, which is ninth. You combine those three together, that is incredible numbers. Passing yards, he's second. Touchdowns, he's second. Big time throws, he has 6 big time throws, which is second in the league. His Pro Football Focus grade, his PFF passing grade is 93.9, which is elite, and it is first among all quarterbacks via Pro Football Focus. And his quarterback rating is second in the league with 140.3. You also look at EPA per play. Jordan Love had a total EPA of 26.4, 0.64 yards EPA per play. And and on top of that too, he had a better completion percentage than Dak Prescott. You look at it, he had a better QBR than Dak Prescott in this game. And through the first 4 games of the season, Jordan Love already is at 1,000 pass yards. We haven't even hit, and they're on the bye week, and he's already at 1,000 pass yards. I just, it's insane. You look at the season leaders. Dak Prescott is first, but you look at where Jordan Love is at. Jordan Love's 5th. He's 5th in the league. He's 5th in the league in passing yards. 8.3 yards per attempt, 8 touchdowns, only 1 interception, and that came in that brutal loss against Cleveland, and he has a 113 passer rating. I'm going to say it again. I don't know what the hate is about Jordan Love, because every week he has gone out there. He has absolutely proved everybody wrong. And if you weren't watching this Sunday Night Football game and you weren't watching how dominant he was in this game and how dominant Dak was in this game, then what are you doing? What are we doing? It was an incredible game. It really sucks that it ended a tie, because you really wanted to see someone come out a winner and someone come out a loser. You get neither. So that sucks. But hey, it is what it is. Now, keeping forward, and we segue to it, are bringing home the bacon for the first time ever in our history here on Snap the Pigskin. We have 2 people who win the slab of bacon, who get on the slab of bacon. Jordan Love and Dak Prescott. Phenomenal performance. Phenomenal Sunday night game. Phenomenal all around. Dak Prescott, 31 for 40 for 319 pass yards, 3 touchdowns. Jordan Love had 31 for 43 for 337 pass yards and 3 touchdowns. They get your slab of bacon this week. And my goodness, man, that was a fun game to watch. I was stressing out the entire game. My fiance was there. She was freaking. It got to the game when we got to the overtime game, and I was watching Green Bay Drive, and she's like, "You're freaking me out. You're freaking me out right now, babe." So I'm sorry to my fiance for freaking out, but this was an incredible game, and I wanted to see the Packers win because I am a Packers fan, but overall, too, like as an NFL watching fan, this was fun football at its finest. And I wish it could have had a winner. We may see these 2 teams play again, maybe in January. Who knows? So Congrats to those two. Now we get to our Pigskin Primetime Picks. And if you are a big fan of our Pigskin Primetime Picks, you'll hopefully enjoy these ones. Last week was rough. This week, once again, kind of rough. Not really too many exciting games. And we start with our first one, Thursday Night Football. We are recording this on a Thursday. This episode is going to get put up today. So be sure to like and subscribe to the channel as well. And once again, we're still trying to figure out the whole audio issue when trying to get our shows up in podcast form. But the Rams play the 49ers. This is in LA at SoFi Stadium. This is a divisional matchup. The 49ers lost last week to the Jacksonville Jaguars. 21-26 was the final score there. 3 teams right now sitting in the NFC West at 3-1. This is a very, very interesting game. And out of all the primetime games this week, this is the best one because it does have big division implications. The Rams could take first here. They could leapfrog the Niners for first place in the NFC West. The Niners going into this game are going to be without Brock Purdy. He is out for this game. So Mac Jones is going to get the start yet again for the 49ers. I got Rams by 6 in this one. I think the Rams do make it close. I think the Niners defense, they don't have Nick Bosa, but even still, I think Robert Saleh is going to dial up some stuff to get this Niners team moving in the right direction and at least keep this game close. At least keep this game close against Matthew Stafford. So I got Rams by 6 in this game. Next one, Sunday Night Football. Patriots and Bills. This one, a little bit more lopsided. The Bills have just been on a tear. They haven't lost a game yet. They're one of the only other 4-0 teams, one of the only other undefeated teams. There's 2 left. It's the Bills and it's the Eagles. And I got, Buffalo hammering this one against the Patriots. Yeah, New England's 2-2. I just don't think they're there yet against the Bills. You look at how long it took Buffalo for when they matched up against the Patriots and Tom Brady was there. It took them a while. It took them about 2 or 3 years before they finally figured out, hey, we can hang with this team. I think New England's not there yet to kind of compete. I mean, right now you look at the AFC East, it really is the Bills division. The Patriots are just living in it. I mean, the Dolphins right now, they did get their first win. The Jets still trying to find a win. But New England, I think, does, if New England somehow makes this close, good for them. I got Bills by 10 in this one. I think Buffalo is just going to absolutely hammer them on Sunday Night Football. They have just been on a roll to start the season. And the last game, the Chiefs at the Jaguars. This is in Jacksonville. Jacksonville right now at 3-1. Indianapolis also 3-1. The Colts, I believe, have a bye this week. No, they do not. Sorry, they don't have a bye this week. But the Colts play the Raiders. It's in Indianapolis at Lucas Oil. Depending on what the outcome of that game is, the Jaguars kind of playing, trying to play, back and forth, play tennis with the Colts here. They are tied for first place in the division. If the Chiefs were to win this game, though, the Colts would still be in first, and depending on a Colts win, however. But for the Jaguars, they get a win in San Fran. Liam Cohn, I think the experiment's been working. The only issue has been Travis Hunter. He hasn't really got going. This is, he needs a breakout game. Needs to happen. On top of that, too, both sides of the ball, he's been decent. He hasn't been like elite levels that they were hoping for when they drafted him. So that's another big struggle. I got Chiefs by 4. I think, I said earlier on this show, this is the win against the Ravens and the win against the Giants, particularly the win against the Giants, is the kick in the pants that the Chiefs needed to get themselves going and get this team in the right direction to where they, they're back. They are back. And look out, rest of the NFL. I got Chiefs by 4 in this game on Monday Night Football. I got them beating the Jaguars. Jacksonville goes to 3-2 on the season. And with that, that wraps it up for us here today. For those of you that have been listening, feel free to always give us a like and subscribe. Follow us at Snap the Pigskin or listen wherever you get your podcast. We're still trying to figure out the issue to our podcast situation. So bear with us, hang with us. If you still like listening to our episodes and you want to get updated on the new episodes that are happening, go find us on the YouTube channel as well. So with that, I'm Noah Clark. This has been another edition of Snap the Pigskin, and we will see you all for week 6 next week.